Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Working in Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bowens, and today, pleased to be joined by a good buddy who has more Instagram accounts than he has points in senior hockey, but he makes some of the best hats in the game. Joseph Sorensen, how you doing, my friend?
Not doing too bad. I like that intro. I never even thought about it like that. But yeah, I think maybe probably like 7 Instagram accounts and 4 senior points. So that's what happens.
It's a good equation. It's a good ratio there. But no, excited to have you on here, man. I think people know a lot of your brands, have seen a lot of your stuff over the past couple years, especially here. But I kind of want to dive into the weeds, get behind the scenes a little bit in terms of your strategy, your vision for all the different brands that you're involved in. Obviously, we're both rocking the retro hockey hats. We got Hockey Trend, we got Crosscheck, a million and one things that you're doing. But take it back to square one here. How did you first get involved, interested in, or passionate about hockey social media?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably goes for 90% of the people who come on here. I first got interested just by being a kid and liking hockey. I got into it. I guess I'd say pretty late. Started to the playing side of hockey. I think I started in Pee Wee, which is grade 6, and just fell in love with hockey, and hockey was all I thought about and wanted to do. And it's you're with your friends at school, it's all you're doing. And then I used to what kind of got me into hockey was actually back in YouTube. I forget when years, I know 15, 2013, 2014. It's still a thing now, but I thought it was like a really big thing. All those like YouTube edits people would make of like hockey players, like Sidney Crosby edit. Now, like that's pretty common. I mean, media is more available, so many people are doing it. But it was just like it was so cool. Like anytime someone posted a Crosby edit, it was getting 100,000 views just because there was that lack of media coverage. So if you could be the one to piece that together, so that kind of got me into the sport. And then I almost wanted to contribute. I'd be like, you know, there's no Duncan Keith edit. Let me make a Duncan Keith edit. There's no whatever, there's no Ovechkin edit of him scoring one-timer goals, which sounds dumb now, but I mean, I was one of the first people to kind of start doing that on YouTube. So I mean, that's how I got my foot in the door with the media side, was all through YouTube, doing player edits, to mixes to songs, to try to I'd be at school all day, like talk to my friends, like what song should I put with this edit. So yeah, I mean, I could talk straight for an hour now, but I mean that's kind of the intro, how I got my feet wet, and then I'll let you take it how I kind of transition from there. But
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and 100% agree. I mean, like, used to look up, like, Pavel Datsyuk shootout
oh
highlights, and
yeah,
there'd be 8 videos to choose from. Like, it's
yeah.
it's not like it is today. There was a shortage of options, so that's awesome. Was there one video that, like, really popped when you were like, "Okay, there's something here?"
Well, everyone knows like that one page, the Highlight Factory. This is, they made their big hits and stuff. And I mean, that was for on the watching side, some of that stuff popped for me. But then, I
Mm,
mean, I was already doing stuff before, but for me, I think I didn't have anything pop like crazy. And I actually started doing every sport. So I'm a hockey guy, but I do enjoy, football, baseball, basketball, whatever. So I actually posted, it was called, if it'd be funny if anyone remembers this channel, my original YouTube channel name was Crazy Compilations, because that's what it was. It was sometimes I do all sports. I just do like sick plays, and it'd be all these sports. So um, you kind of just get hooked on the views. It's like this video got you know it could be 80 views, and this one got 90, then this one did 2,000, this one did 30,000, this one did 40,000. So I'd say it was a probably a slow grind of, I don't know, 600 videos I made, and just like, trying to outperform the next one, outperform. So I had one video, it's funny you say that, you can still look it up on YouTube right now. Best amateur football, or it might be high school, best high school football trick plays. And it's got like, I think 13 million views on a 10-minute video. That's a lot of views. Um, I posted that video in 2017, I think, and it still gets 30,000 views a month. I've taken down I've to in terms of, like, cleaning up, making everything more, because 'cause I'm kinda switching, we'll get into, like, what I'm doing now, but I've just left that one up, and that, I mean, that's crazy, getting 500,000 views on something I did nearly 10 years ago, still a
that's
year,
great.
so
That's crazy, and again, the volume of content options and choices today for something from
oh, yeah.
back then to still be getting that traction today is definitely wild there, but, talk me into, a little bit about, your more recent hockey
Yeah.
endeavors here, retro hockey, Hockey Trend. How did you kinda get involved with both initially? And, for people who may not know, give a bit of context there.
Yeah, so I was doing the YouTube thing. I saw, all these big Instagram pages like Nick and Hockey Collective, going along, and I thought, "Wow, I really like how Instagram specifically connects with its audience." I mean, you get people commenting, sharing with their friends. If you think personally, like, how many times do you take the link of a YouTube video and send it to your friend? Probably not even once a year, if once a year, right? Almost probably never. You might mention in passing, "Hey, there's this cool YouTube video." Instagram, I mean, you can just go on your posts, like, "Someone sent this post I made 40,000 times," right? Like, that's a daily occurrence. So, I thought, "Wow, this is cool." You can kinda build a community, and not to say you can't build a community on YouTube. I mean, there's great hockey creators, True Crew, Nasher, and guys who did it, but where I came from, which was, not UGC type content, more just editing and player highlights, you had to be on Instagram to build that community, not on YouTube. So I said I'm trying to think what year this is. I don't know, 2022, 2023. I get my it's all a blur now, but, I said, "Let's do Instagram." So I got right into it. I saw, highlights, kind of exactly what I'm doing. Hockey Collective started posting things, still doing my player edits. I brought that from YouTube to Instagram. I'm like, this is sweet. I don't have to make 7-minute edit videos anymore. I can make them 30 seconds. So that part was really cool. And then I thought, what is hockey lacking? And I started the brand Crosscheck Hockey, where there a lot of, the NHL's kind of ramped back up a little bit, but there weren't a lot of people kind of posting those hits and fights. Sometimes fights, but no one posts the big hits. So I got into that. I started a page Crosscheck Hockey. So the two main accounts I run are Hockey Trend and Crosscheck Hockey. So one for every other part of the game, one for Crosscheck Hockey. But one thing I would say that we do differently if you watch my pages is I thought, everyone's posting the NHL. Let me collaborate with other teams with other levels. I We collaborate right down from minor hockey, junior C, junior B, junior A. I collaborate with the OHL, the Big Ten, and I've collaborated with NHL teams there, but it's not still regularly collaborating with teams of all those levels and different organizations. So I think we're mainly the only page in hockey that does that. That isn't over 50% NHL content. I would say NHL content is probably below 20% of what we do. So
Yeah.
that got me into that. Started posting. You read the algorithm, more views, more whatever. That blew up, and then I guess I'll segue it right into here. Hopefully, I'm not got into you know the retro hockey side of things. So I've always been a hat guy, and my background. I guess I'll take a step back here because I think I'm going a little quick. But my background, just so you guys know, like I didn't do sports management. I didn't do business in school. I didn't do any of that stuff. My background is actually I'm a Red Seal millwright. So um, the social media stuff was an aspect where I could stay connected to the game. I liked hockey. I did the YouTube stuff in and out. Played 1 year of junior C hockey, and then COVID hit at the end of the season. That was it, and that's kind of when I've heard for some other people in different entrepreneurial endeavors that COVID actually took them off. And I would say for me, I mean, the NHL was playing, but that was it. You had some leagues in maybe like Florida still going, but the social media is how I stayed connected to the hockey. And yeah, just as a passion of mine, I never had the goal of being a full time person in hockey. I just saw this thing I enjoyed doing, and I had fun at it. And then it opportunities open up, you learn things, and things change. But yeah, I didn't have that stereotypical. I worked with a junior hockey team. I had an internship here. I kind of just fell in love with hockey and did things my own way. So that that brings me to the hat company where I can kind of connect my blue collar background to our hat company, our Retro Hockey, which is launched in partnership with Whiskey Road Hat Co., which is a more of a blue collar trades type hat company. So that kind of background, and I wore their stuff all the time, happened. And this is a Nick thing. I know you always say send that message, send that whatever. And one day, I think I messaged Austin Pope, the owner of the company, or Whiskey Road Hat Co. And I actually, you know what, my first message to them was, this is funny. Um, you know how you can put discount codes on websites? Like, Nick Bowen's 10 or whatever? So I was trying to buy hats off them just for me and my buddies, and I saw, he had a code Whiskey Road 10. So I went on his website. I'm like, "I wonder if there's a Whiskey Road 15." So I went Whiskey Road 15 discount. I'm like, "Wonder about a Whiskey Road 20, a Whiskey Road 25." And it got up to Whiskey Road 25, which wasn't an average discount code. So I ordered like 6 hats, And then I DM Whiskey Road on Instagram. Didn't know any of these people were. I said, "Hey, um, by the way, you these codes are still available, even though you don't advertise them on your like Shopify. This my 25% discount is my cut for letting you know about this." And I ordered the hats 25% off. He said, messaged back like thank me. He said no worries. And then from there, I was like, oh well, they respond to me. You know, Whiskey, I don't know, 30,000 Instagram or 20,000 Instagram followers, and I was just thinking, what can I do with, maybe use some of this hockey following to something I'm passionate with about hats or merchandise. And I tried to do it on my own through drop shipping, other stuff, but I just had quality issues. I thought, I don't know why I was scared to send a DM, but I held off and then I just DM'd, hey, would you be interested in collaborating on hockey hats? And at the time, that would have been just December 2023. And at the time, Austin there was still had another full-time job, and he said, "Hey, Christmas is a busy season. Let's reach back out in the new year and let's talk." He said, "I had no clue this guy played hockey, not even a clue." And he's like, "Yeah, my brother played in the OHL, played in the OJ. I played AAA." So we set up a call. I had a call, maybe 3 months later. Planned to meet in person. Met in person in probably April or May of 2024. Got together, made a plan, ended up launching in, mid-November of 2025 and just used, his experience making great hats with years of that, and then my experience with using social media and came together. Obviously, that's just the starting story. There's lots more happening now, but that's how that came together because it's kind of a lot of hockey people don't know who Whiskey Road Hat Co. is, but all my, blue collar type friends do. So it's interesting. It's just, I thought, why would this guy want to start a hockey company? But I mean, you don't know if you don't ask. So
100%, man. I think there's a lot of good lessons in there. You don't know if you don't ask. You don't know if you don't try those different discount codes.
yeah,
And I want to chat more on the hat side of things there and where you guys have grown it now with teams. But first, circling back to the social media because I think we have a lot of people that listen that are interested in social media marketing, that sort of path, whether it's with teams or carving their own path. Like you and I both have at different points here. You touched on something super important of differentiating. Everybody's posting the
mhm,
NHL. That was one of my big revelations when I kind of winded down Hockey Collective was like, hey, why am I breaking my back to post this McDavid highlight when 200 other pages are also posting a McDavid highlight? And that's what I really love about your pages is you collaborate with other leagues, other teams, other creators. You showcase every level. And I think that makes it very relatable for viewers too, right? It shows them, hey, I know that ranker. Hey, I played against that guy. It's a little bit different than just seeing McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon score highlight reel
yeah.
goals, right? What else goes into sort of the strategy of the content on your pages aside from differentiating the leagues and sort of plays on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is you just feed your algorithm what it wants and what it wants to see. And we don't so much focus on. So when I was building Hockey Trend, all I cared about were views. That was the only thing I cared about. How many views, how many whatever, share like I on not shares, just views. And then I talked to some other people, other sports theme pages in, baseball, football, whatever, and they're like, "That's good, but you haven't built, a community. You don't have your own thing. You need to focus somewhat on like comment shares, people that are actually like interacting with your comment and with your content, build your community. And there's already so many direct NHL communities. Number one was, you got to differentiate to build your own community. And now what goes into the content strategy is with so many followers, honestly, 80% of our content now that we do, and I'll go back to start, just gets sent to us. Like, I mean, when you have, especially on the cross check hockey side, because I mean, kids have goals and stuff, but like, I will agree, a minor hockey goal might not look as nice as McDavid goal, but a minor hockey hit can look just as good. I mean, you got kids with their heads down, first year of hitting of hockey. There's some great content there that I enjoy posting, goalie fights and U13 AA and stuff. So, yeah, that kinda opened up on that side, and I will get every day 30-35 DMs on Crosscheck Hockey. 30 to 35 DMs every day of people's hits, their fights. So, I mean, that just brings it in. I'll get to the point now where followers will message me and be like, "Hey, did you see this fight in this ECHL game? Did you see this fight in this NHL game?" So especially Crosscheck Hockey, I'd say it really just handles itself. With Hockey Trend, there's obviously a bit of that. I get maybe 4 DMs a day, even though it's a bigger page. It's just funny, just kind of the angle of stuff. And then um, I gotta. I mean, I guess I'll talk about my team. I have um, a guy, Michael. He does my video work. He helps me with some of my social content, and then I have Curtis, who does some of my graphics and more my like in depth hockey list. Like if it's breaking down, like we'll have a graphic going out later today, top 10 current NHL duos and stuff. So he does that, and then I try to find those weird stats. Um, Nick Bowens is a -5 in period 1, but a +10 in period 3, right? That's the stuff, like I say, where if we can find that weird information, sometimes that's Twitter. Sometimes it's just thinking. I made a post, this is a great example 2 days ago, of Matthew Schaefer, and I was looking. I go on Elite Prospects all the time, and I was looking. He had his the most goals he scored in his career since U15 is this year in the NHL. He had, uh what was it? Like 11 goals last year in the OHL. Keep in mind he played like 25 games. The year before, he played 56 games. He only in the OHL only had 3 goals. And then in AAA, I think he had like 10 and he had 18. So personally, as a hockey, I'm like, that's super interesting. This guy's has better NHL stats than he did in AAA. So to me, like that jumped out. Okay, I'm going to make a post about this. So finding those off-topic things, you kind of got to wait for them and you kind of got to think, is this kind of weird or dig for it yourself? But then I do have people who I do a weekly rankings every week for content that I collab with one of my sponsors, PointsBet. So Curtis, he does my weekly rankings, he does some of my lists, and then some people doing the graphics. But it's a little bit, I'd say at one point, my goal with Hockey Trend was almost like, let's standardize things. Like, okay, we're going to do these posts these days. That doesn't work. People want to see, for certain things that might work. But for me, it's like, you know, one day the content is like 2 days ago, I posted a junior C kid breaking a stick on a breakaway on an empty net. It snapped. You can look it up on my page right now, 350,000 views. Okay. And then on the weekend, I collabed 8 posts with the Big Ten Network. So there is a content strategy, but it's a little bit. My content strategy is I collabed with a beer league team. I don't know if you saw the post called they're in like Massachusetts area, the Pickles or whatever. They made a post if
Very cool.
if the NHL was on ESPN. I mean 1.1 million views. That's all their work, but they wanted me to co-post that with them. So our content strategy is a little crazy, Nick. That's just the truth.
No, I think that's good to hear because I think people do sometimes get so caught up in checking the exact boxes to make sure, we hit A, B, C, X, Y, Z to hit our goals there. But I think a lot of times, especially in sports, you have to be thinking on the fly. You have to be creative. You have to be a little more reactionary than you are in other businesses, just because that's the nature of sports. And I think another thing to call out that you just mentioned there that again we've both talked about together before, but you got to find things that you like. And that's
Mhm,
usually how again, like you said, you have other people on the team that you can sound ideas off of. You have other pages and brands you can kind of measure up against and see if you think something will work. But at the end of the day, every successful creator or creative that I know has a good sense of their gut. And they know that if they like something, their community that they've built is going to like it too, right?
for sure. It's funny, the one guy I was just thinking about the other day is, like, Always Hockey Zach Bell, when you talk about structured content. Some of his videos when he was blowing up with, like, 40 million views, and I mean, you can get a structure to some things, but he was, like, shooting pucks off his mom's pots and pans, and, that's not like you like to joke on, corporate America, they're not gonna think of throwing pots and pans and flipping sticks and shooting over cars, and that went crazy viral. So sometimes, you gotta think, you almost wanna ask yourself, the more unnormal stuff you're doing and more out of your comfort zone you're getting within reason is you need to be out of your comfort zone to be succeeding in content type creation. Whether it's, Coach Chippy making videos in his bedroom talking to himself, like, I'm sure that sounded crazy the first time he told that to a friend, and I love watching that content, so.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And you mentioned, the number of collab posts, the number of posts you guys get up in a weekend there. General question, and it's one that people ask me or ask themselves a lot when starting a content journey. Is there any such thing as posting too much?
Um, I would say if the content is good, no, there's no such thing as posting too much. I'd post 300 times a day if the content was good. At the same time, I mean, you have an audience, and um, maybe not more than 10 times a day, I don't know, but I look at some other pages in the space, Bar Down Hockey, Hockey Forever, sometimes they're posting I remember I showed you the one year on deadline day, one of those pages posted like 60 times, so if the content's good and not forced, no, keep putting it out, keep feeding the algorithm.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think, like you touched on with the algorithm, it's always changing. But right now, as we sit in February, March 2026,
Yeah,
your followers aren't seeing every post. Whether you
no.
post 2 posts or 20 posts, your loyalist followers are not seeing everything that you post. That's the way the algorithms are set up. That's the way the explore pages jump into your feed, right? So volume game as long as the quality is there. I 100% agree, my friend. But I want to talk a little bit more about retro hockey again there on the hat side of things. Obviously, started again with Whiskey Road there, mostly in e-commerce or direct to consumer brand online. But you guys are in some retailers now, and even bigger than that, you're working with a lot of teams pretty well around the globe. Tell me a little bit about that transition and growth for you guys, and the experience of getting to work with some of these different teams to bring their ideas to life.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak enough to my business partner, Austin Pope, and the amount he's helped me with that, and, it's just things that I'd be so much farther behind, not even on the making the hats. I mean, that's like a whole other side of the business, but to kind of where the brands went with, getting in different retail locations and collaborating with teams. But, the start of the collaboration with teams is, um, it's pretty simple in the sense you get a couple teams that just reach out to you. Like, someone bought a hat, saw a hat, and then they're like, these are sweet. Can we do this team for our minor hockey team or whatever team? But interesting enough, with this social media and how social media plays into it, the very first collaborated hats I made were for a hockey team in Australia. So the 50
Yeah.
custom hats for a beer league team in Australia. And that was actually came through Hockey Trend, someone I'd collab with. I said, "Hey, would you guys ever be interested in, getting some hats?" And, they said, "Yeah, no problem." And those were the first ones I ever did. So it's funny how, like, these doors open up with I mean, now I think since then we've only done custom hats for Canada and the US, and then, I mean, our e-commerce from, you know, our website, we've sold to every country, feels like 50 countries, whatever. There's always some exchange student probably working. I'll see some of these countries, I'm like, "Do they even know what hockey is?" But, maybe that's a good sign for the game that that stuff's growing. But, yeah, in the custom stuff and collaborating with teams, we started out with that, and then I thought, hey, now I enjoy doing this. This is something good for us. So I went. Nick convinced me to start a LinkedIn. I started there a little bit. I've made 2 posts, so please don't check my LinkedIn because I need to do more. But reached out through there. That was a good platform, and then went on It's funny. Some people will ask you for contact information for someone. I found 65% of the teams I wanted to reach out contact info on their website and found the person, or I found, let's say, you search, Nick Bowen's working in hockey, and it's not like your information is on their website. Well, then I just search your name, and then it comes up somewhere else. Sometimes I found someone, this local team, I found the person, I Googled them, and then there's a newspaper article where they were doing a charity event and their emails in the newspaper article. And you just like, you look around, and I think some of that comes from back when I did all those YouTube videos, when I was trying, it's not like AI is now with searching for things. Like when 2014 using YouTube, I would, if I was looking for I'd search best Pavel Datsuk goals, best Pavel Datsuk shootout goals, Pavel Datsuk best shootout goals, Pavel Datsuk Red Wings goals. I would search like 80 things. And then if you get this golden clip that was buried on YouTube. So I kind of did that for the B2B side of things, just trying to reach out, find stuff and do it like that. So that's kind of how that built. We've done custom hats for I'd like to over in our first year last year over 10 different CHL teams with a various number of hats and then collaborating right down from some minor hockey organizations, junior C, junior B, junior A, hopefully for an even bigger push for this upcoming season. And some of those relationships, um, some people I emailed and they got back to me 4 months later, 5 months later. And then even to be crazy, I'll just put an example for a certain team we did hats for. I emailed them, got back, they came back to me, emailed back, said they liked it, didn't email me. I don't know, Nick, you talked about posting too many contents. I'd like to know what's sending too many emails. There's one team that we ended up making 300 hats for last year. I sent, I think it was 13 emails. I think one a week before I got a reply back, and they're like, "Yeah, they're great. Let's put in this order." But 13 emails, is that too much?
Depends on the span of time, but I mean, it paid off, no?
Yeah, yeah. It was one a week. I wasn't sending every day. Hey, just following up, just checking in, seeing how you like that. So sometimes persistence. And I also did put in these emails. If you'd like me, which I have no problem with, if you'd like me to stop, reaching out, no worries. Just let me know. I had another team. Hey, we're not looking for anything. If you want to reach back out in, April 2026, then that's fine, then I stop. So, I mean, it's not if someone tells you to stop emailing them, stop emailing them. That's there's a difference. But if not, hey, if they've left that conversation end open, you might as well try to follow up on it again.
Yeah, I really like the point that you make on resourcefulness and and finding the details or finding the information yourself. I think that goes a really long way with people. And we had a president of business operations for an HL team on here, one of the last episodes as this one
Yeah.
comes out. And he said like he would kill for somebody to like address him personally in an email and come with a tailored pitch to an interview and all those things that to some seem pretty simple and straightforward, and to others they haven't done it yet. I think there's a lot to be learned through that. Majority of team contacts can be found online, like you said, whether that's
Yeah.
for selling hats or applying to jobs. They are
Oh, yeah.
all out there. What's been the hardest part of getting your hats out to market and getting people interested?
Yeah, it's sounds funny. The getting out to market is just the production side of it is the timelines, and we're always trying to when you're doing fully custom. I mean, this is basic, but like the hat, you're on a green brim and stuff. There's the whole back end business side, which you're it's a never ending, like those companies, from small companies to Nike, you're always trying to keep your costs down, make things cheaper and make things quicker, which obviously you can only go so cheap and so quick. Because that's why I'll tell teams, you want custom hats, it's going to take you 2 months, right? This is our timeline. Sometimes we can do stuff quicker, but I'm not going to sacrifice quality for getting a paycheck and saying we can do something sooner. So I mean, dealing with that, trying to get be make sure I get that reliable and set up, and then getting stuff out to different teams. I was spent a lot of time handling different local hockey store owners, get some hats in, and it's funny. Some teams, some different stores and stuff. You have you're fighting with them to for them to take like 30 hats to sell on their shelves, and then someone else will reach out to you and they'll want, hey, can we take 200 or whatever, and I've never met them before. So it's a case by case basis on whether it's OHL teams or a store. I found out in hockey that unless you get a deal, like let's say you get a league wide deal with the OJHL, you're dealing with so many different people, and you kind of have to learn. On my end, I learned a lot of people skills, which how to approach this, how to be upfront but not rude, how to be, professional but not overly corporate, how to get my point across of, this is the best price we can do, and but like be firm with that because that is the best, have your stuff there. So lots of times, I mean, just yesterday I got an important email from a store we're trying to get into, and I just sent it to my business partner Austin. Hey, can you read this over? Whether it's that, I mean, my friends, sometimes having someone look something over, but coming from the blue collar background, I wasn't, most kids in university have their laptops, have their emails. I didn't even have a computer till a couple years ago. Like I had one for YouTube, got rid of it, got back into it. So kind of I had the get to work, let's get it done aspect of, which is funny enough, I find a lot of people lack today, but then I also lacked knowing like simple things like, in the summer, I didn't get back to someone, and my partner Boston called me, "Hey man, you got to set up your out of office email, even if you're gone at a whatever for one day." So for me, learning that side of things and those people skills um, has been the challenge, but it's been fun learning that.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you guys see me wearing these hats in majority of episodes here. If I'm not wearing my own, I love the hats. I've got obviously a bunch of different ones that I rock here, and I think you guys have done a great job. I actually first stumbled across Whiskey Road for their Hockey Night in Canada patch. I almost bought that online. I wish I stumbled into their discount code like you did at the
Yeah.
time, but that's kind of how I first found out about it. And then obviously wearing a lot of these hats now today. Has there been anybody, if you can share who or whom, that you've seen wearing the hat or has reached out asking for a hat that you're like, oh shoot, that's pretty cool?
So this is funny enough with hockey players. So I've given a lot of hats out to different influencers and people. I've given hats out. I mean, I'll name drop people. I sent hats to all the Hudson brothers, Lane Hudson, Cole Hudson, Quinn Hudson. I sent hats to, Hobie Baker winner, Isaac Howard. I sent hats to some other NHL type people. And I like to get, most times people are taking photos of hats and stuff, or of hockey players that are on the ice, right? I've gotten a lot of photos of these players. I'm just kinda scrolling, I'll see their tag photos. I'm like, I wonder if, you wanna know if they're actually wearing the stuff, if you're not just sending it to them. And 90% of the time, they're wearing their hats backwards because 'cause they're hockey players, which is fine. They can do whatever they want. But the photos, no one takes photos from the back, and it's like, I know I might be the only person in the world who knows that's a retro hockey hat because it's getting worn backwards. So, yeah, I've got to connect with some NHL players and then making hats for different, there's already players who I made hats for the last last season in the OHL, and they're in the NHL now, so connecting with that. Even like today, I was just you'll see clips out. I was out with the Ice Dogs, shot some media for some hats we did with them, and was on the ice with Ethan Zadas, second round draft pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning last year, and it was cool to see them. Like they saw the hats, they're all excited. Their whole locker room's like, "We need more hats! Like we got to get hats." So yeah, definitely those in person raw reactions, whether it's like you say, these an NHL player to I made hats for my high school hockey team I played for. It's cool to see that in person. I mean, when someone buys a hat online, it's sick, but to be there in person and physically see them get excited, like that's when that kind of drives you like this is cool, this is worth it. So
100%. I totally agree, and I think we say the same thing all the time about connecting with people and trying to get jobs right. This that in-person connection, that physical connection goes the furthest in any industry, but especially in sports. You mentioned shooting some stuff with the Niagara Ice Dogs there. That's kind of the last direction I wanted to take us here today, my friend, is some of the on-ice content that you're doing at the moment, and we've had a lot of clips go pretty big. But what kind of went into the decision to start filming on ice content, putting it out there a little bit more? I mean, for myself personally, I think as many hockey creators and creatives as there are today, there's very few doing it on ice, in game, etc. Right?
my audience just hates on me, but the yeah, for me, it was kind of funny, like some embarrassment. I don't know. There's two sides to it, of getting in front of the camera, and then I mean, obviously now we launched our podcast like 2 months ago, the Crosscheck Show, and then I'm getting in front of the camera. But one of the things that got me into it was um of the actual physical on ice hockey content. The first thing I did, I went to that CCM hockey house where you were at, and I mean, that was on ice content, I guess you could say. Like we tried out some of their equipment, went on the ice, so that was cool. And that kind of was my first taste of it. I'm like, that's fun. And then I thought, what else can I do? And I'd already been working with, I know you had them on here, Lug Hockey. So I was posting highlights. Um, you know, they just actually showed out to Lug. They're launching their summer hockey sign up today. But doing all that stuff. And then I thought, I'm like, what? So this is funny enough how I got into Lug. So I just played Lug. I didn't advertise them. I played Lug in the summer in Hamilton about 2 years ago. I actually won it. So we went to the WAG Cup. And then Ethan, who you've had on here, I just went up to I don't know why, man. Maybe he can remember how I was just scared. I was like, I'd never really done anything first. I just walked up to him, "Hey, man, like, I have this social media page, would love to help promote your league and this." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem. Let's set up a call." Set up a call. Ended up, I think we've been working with them for it's got to be over a year and a half now, helping promote for them. So then I thought, why don't I get into the hockey side of it? And Lug is it's keep the dream alive, but it's the content hockey league. Like for not being pro hockey, even they post so much content. I'm like, I'm sponsored by this league. They love mic'd up content and stuff. It's almost like a no brainer. Let's go do this content for this league. So it kind of started with Lug, and then did some mic'd up stuff there. I still do mic'd up stuff there, different content for them. And then I thought, you know what? I got an offer to go play senior hockey, and I'm not a great player. I play junior C. I'm playing against NHLers and stuff in that league, but I was like, you know what? Let's mic it up. An inspiration too. I'll give a shout out to True Crew. I I think he's still. I guess there's Tony Sauce now, but I'm trying to think of creators who post like full length like edits of them playing full games. I guess the Nasher does his roller hockey stuff, but not ice hockey. I'm an ice hockey guy, so there's really just I know there's like Kazi and other guys who create content, but really just True Crew, and then I mean Tony Sauce is a newer one who do the actual like they'll clip their whole game and record it. I always thought that was cool, and there's not enough of that. There's lots of that content in the basketball space of guys playing like pickup games and posting. So that kind of got me into that. Started doing the senior hockey clips, and then that transitioned to every once in a while hopping on the ice with someone. And then, I mean, that led right into I'm going down to I told you today, the Niagara Ice Dogs. I went to do a photo shoot, and yesterday I just messaged the media guy, and I'm like, "Hey, like, is there any chance I can just hop on the ice with the players? Like, we're already gonna come down there. We already got a camera guy there to shoot the media." And they're like, "Yeah, no problem." So we hopped on the ice with Zada, Hull, and some other guys, and did a little crossbar challenge. So I felt hockey had a lack of those types of content creators, and I'm kind of trying to step into the space. And then a last little selfish note I'll give here is I play a lot of hockey, always played beer league, and I wanted free hockey equipment, and I was like, "Well, I wonder if I get in front of the camera, if I can get some sweet sticks and some sweet skates." So, yeah, doing that. I mean, I'm going, what's next week, I'm flying out to Texas for an all goalie, content creator game hosted by 2 goalies. So yeah, like, just all these opportunities have really opened themselves up since I've started doing that. I got a lot to get better at on the content side, the filming, the editing, but, I've just realized you gotta dive into it, see where it goes, and then go from there. If you never try, you'll never know. So that's kind of the mindset switch I've had the last 12 months is, "Let's go do it. If it doesn't work, I can say I tried."
100%. And I think there's a lot of respect from other creators and creatives when you do put yourself out there like that, because they also went through the same struggle at one point or another, right? And
Yeah.
they can't see that, and whether it's two goalies and inviting you to that now, or CCM in that example, like I think just putting yourself out there, whatever lane or fashion that may be, can go such a long way for future opportunities of a similar ilk.
Yeah, I'll say one last quick note on that side of things is I don't mean if you wanna post stuff with you playing content, I'll support you, I'll be great, but you gotta be good at blocking out the noise because, uh, back to my background of working in the trades. Luckily, I worked a lot with a lot of grumpy old guys through being a teenager and stuff, and I learned kinda have thick skin. You drop a wrench, everyone's yelling at you, calling you names. Maybe that's not the best environment, but if you go look right now on some of my Instagram comments, if Nick Bowens leaves a comment, that's whatever, and then sometimes it's funny, like, I'll look at, this someone will comment something, I'll click on their page and there'll be a video of them playing hockey, and I'm just like, this guy's horrible. Like, who you can't be commenting on me about my hockey." So it's
Yeah.
funny doing that stuff and just seeing, all the internet trolls come out, but that's also a sign of success, you know? I don't think anyone's ever been successful without a couple haters along the way, so you gotta, take it with some pride.
They don't boo nobodies. They don't boo nobodies, that's for
Yeah.
sure. But no, I think, listen, man, I think everything that you're doing with your personal brand, with Hockey Trend, with Crosscheck, the podcast there, don't know about that Josh guy, but, Metro Hockey as well. I think everything you're doing is very impressive. You know that, I tell you that, but I think more than anything, you have an example of carving your own path and figuring out what you wanna do. Wins along the way, some losses along the way, but it all culminates into what you wanted to do, and you're here doing it full time officially now, my friend, which is
Yeah.
awesome to see.
Yeah, and I just wanna say thanks to, like, some people along the way, whether it's been you. I remember reaching out to you, like, a little confused with how monetizing stuff worked. I remember Logan Goche was one of the first people, I'm like, "How does this work?" Even, I sent True Crew a message before about, like, making my own content on the ice, so I know you've said so much stuff like this. Don't be afraid to ask for help from someone or ask for advice. Like, I find certain things of content I find super interesting, right? And, I'll message people. If someone like you say, be direct, message me, you know, how do I, if their question is, how do I edit this on CapCut or something, okay, go watch a YouTube video, whatever. But if you have a direct question, that I can help you with, lots of people have helped me along the way. Love to help other people the best I can in the hockey industry. That's why I'm, coming on this podcast partially. So yeah, thanks to there's so many more people along the way than that. But I guess I'll just give two special shout outs to you and Logan Gauthier. But yeah, lots of helpful people in the hockey world have helped me kind of get to where I am. So I couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like you say, so many people in our industry are good people that genuinely want to help, and more often than not went through the same things that you're sitting there thinking about and weighing right now. So 100% reach out, find people on team websites, as you said earlier, find ways to differentiate what you're posting or doing, as you said earlier. And most of all, if there's something you're passionate about, carve your own path as you have done throughout. Joseph, thank you for the time, my
Yeah,
man.
appreciate it.